My husband once looked me in the eyes and told me I was not enough for him. He said a wife who cannot give a child has no place in his life. I stood there silently as he packed his bags. I begged him to wait. I begged him to trust me. But he had already made up his mind. He walked out of the house and out of our marriage without looking back. And I remained standing in the doorway feeling like the sky had fallen on my chest. For weeks I could not eat, I could not sleep. I kept wondering what mistake I made, what sin I committed to deserve such cruelty. It was not my fault that nature was unkind to me, but blame was easy for him. He wanted someone to point a finger at, and I was the closest target. His family told me to move on, but every corner of the house reminded me of him, his laughter, his footsteps, even the cup he used for morning tea. I eventually left that house because staying there meant dying slowly every day. I moved to another city hoping to start life again. I focused on treatment. I endured long, painful procedures, injections, medicines, hope, and heartbreaks. My doctor told me that the body listens when the heart begins to heal. So I tried my best to heal. I joined a support group, met other women who carried silent wounds like mine. And one day, like a miracle, the test came positive. Not just one heartbeat, but two. I stared at the report for hours, tears falling onto the paper. I had prayed for one gift, God gave me two. My pregnancy was not easy. I was alone, but I fought every fear. Every night I would rest my hands on my belly and whisper to my babies that they were loved and wanted. I promised them they would never face the rejection I worked part-time. I saved every rupee. I prepared their clothes, their room, their tiny socks and blankets. The day they were born, I cried harder than I ever had. Twin boys with tiny fists and loud voices, as if they were announcing their arrival to the world. Years passed, and I raised them with my whole heart. They grew into strong, bright children who filled every empty corner of my life. They would ask about their father, and I would tell them he chose a different path. But their mother chose them. Life had finally begun to feel peaceful again, until one day fate brought me back to the place I once ran from. I received a call saying my ex-husband had returned to town after his second marriage failed. He was living alone and struggling financially. People asked me to visit him just once as a human gesture. I avoided it until one morning my twins insisted on seeing where I once lived. So I took them with me. A familiar street, a familiar gate. Memories rushed through me like a storm. When I knocked, he opened the door, and the shock on his face was louder than any words. He froze, his eyes moving from me to the twins. They both looked like him without a doubt. Same eyes, same smile, same hair. He gasped as if the truth hit him like a blow. He asked whose children they were, and I replied quietly, "They are yours." He stepped back, holding the door for support. He could not believe what he was seeing. He whispered why I never told him, and tears gathered in my eyes. I said, "You left before giving me a chance. You left before trusting me. You left before the miracle came." He fell to his knees and cried like a broken man. He begged to be part of their life. He begged for forgiveness. But I had waited too long for these words. The twins looked at me confused. I gently held their hands and told him, "I forgive you, but forgiveness does not mean returning to the pain I once escaped." He asked if he could at least know them, but I knew involving him would only reopen wounds that took years to heal. I told him that my children need stability and love, not a man who walks away when life becomes difficult. I thanked him for the lessons he unknowingly gave me: strength, courage, the ability to stand alone. And then I stood up ready to leave. He asked me to stay for a moment, but I turned away because this time my heart did not tremble. As I walked away, my twins held my hands tighter. I looked at them and smiled with pride. I left that house not as the broken woman he once abandoned, but as a mother who defeated fate itself. My past had once destroyed me, but my future walked beside me in the form of two beautiful boys. I returned to the world stronger, and complete. My story began with pain, but it ended with power. And no one expected that the father of my twins would be the man who thought I was not worthy of being a mother.